live on what it's like to actually feel burned out, because I have found so many entrepreneurs, and no matter what industry you're in, that a lot of them are feeling burned out. So for those that don't know me, I'm Leslie Leondas, where I help entrepreneurs get off the hamster wheel of their business and actually live their life again. Because what I have found is over the years, and I have felt this too, that many of us live in this state of fear where we just keep going and going and going until we can't go anymore. And I have Megan on here with me, who's a team member who is also, team members get burned out too. And you have to be able to identify that in your team when something like that is going on. So, but what I want to talk about first is the owner getting burned out, and then what that does to the team when the team actually starts seeing the owner do this. Because I know Megan has sometimes told me, hey, you need a vacation. Because you just start just getting in, you get in your own way, you're in the weeds and you can't see straight. So, and then there's so many different signs of burnout. And a lot of it is you just don't believe in happiness anymore. And you just are like going through the motions, putting one foot in front of the other, but then you're actually not making any progress whatsoever. And yesterday in one of our coaching programs, we had an owner send us a message Friday that was like, a mindset SOS, I think was what her subject line was. And she was talking about, all of these things that were going on with her, and she was having a really crap day. And so we asked her, well, what did you do after that? She goes, I took 3 days off. And we're like, how do you feel now? She goes, a completely different person. But that's what burnout feels like, where you just can't put two thoughts together because your personal and your business life are doing this. They're both biting for your time. And if you have kids or if you have dogs, everything, or cats or whatever, everything is colliding. And you're like, I cannot do another thing. That's when you have to know when to step away. And Megan, you've also coached some of our clients that have been going through burnout, whether they're a bookkeeping client or a coaching client. So can you talk about that some?
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit on this with burnout. You need a break from your business as much as your business needs a break from you. So basically, if you're experiencing that burnout, you're in a negative headspace. So everyone around you is affected. It's not just you. And that's kind of like what Leslie was talking about with the team. And I've actually had to have the same conversation with coaching clients where she was just in the weeds, right? She just wanted to get the work done. Do. We have to get everything done. But on the flip side, her team's being affected because all she's caring about is getting the work done. So she's not focused on growing the business. She's not focused on client success. Anything that's really helping the business flourish, you're not really focused on it because you're just, like Leslie said, you're in the weeds. You just have a laser focus on getting the shit done so you can move on to the next thing, because that's almost like that dopamine hit that you think is going to get you out of burnout whenever you're checking off that checklist.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of business owners think, well, if I just work more, I'll just get out of this. But my story with the client that sent us that message on Friday, she said taking those 3 days off, when she came back Tuesday, she was even more productive and got even more stuff done. And so Len asked her, what would have happened if you hadn't done it? If you would have worked all weekend? She goes, I wouldn't have got nothing accomplished because then I'd just been mad.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear that a lot. And so, but then you also have to recognize when your team is burned out, when they're not being fully efficient or productive. And sometimes you have to just say, hey, you need to take some time away, because that one team member also can affect the entire organization, including the owner. But then back to the owners being burnt out, that also causes burnout in the team, because then the team is emotionally, physically drained, because then the owner's like, can you get this done? 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 And then the team is like, good God, please leave. So you also have to think about it from all aspects. And this is part of being a leader and understanding these things that are, number one, affecting you, but also affecting your team. And then there's the whole client side. When you're burned out, you're usually agitated. You hate when they call. So you don't answer the phone. You don't help them like you want to help. So your client success also is reduced. And I'm going to use an example from the accounting industry during tax season. When your clients need the most help is when you're most unavailable. which is not the way it should be. And this goes into burnout is also an after effect of poor pricing, because the more that clients that you have to work with in that short time, the more you're going to be burned out. Then it takes 2 months to recover from it. And then you're in extension season and you're doing it all over again. So you never actually fully recover. And there's many industries that this happens in, no matter what industry you're in. If you think about retail during fourth quarter, that is one of the worst times of retail. And then usually they have inventory right after it. So no matter what industry, there are seasons when these things happen. So, and I know, Megan, you've also dealt with a coaching client that her team was actually burnt out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of actually what I want to talk about next was it's almost like, and I think Lynn used this in another scenario yesterday, but it's like a fungus. So burnout really is a fungus, because whenever you're having burnout, you're in that negative space. And like I said, it's affecting everyone around you. So what is the saying? It's like you are who you surround yourself with. Therefore, you're projecting all of your negativity onto the team. And if you're a leader, an owner doing that, how are you going to lead and influence your team if you're constantly negative and burnt out? They're going to have those same feelings. And that's kind of what happened in this situation. The employee, the team member, she was extremely burnt out, and the whole team was feeling the effects of it in her work, in her mood, just interacting with her, because she was so physically and emotionally drained from doing the work.
Mm-hmm. And when you first started, which was, gosh, almost 7 years ago, you didn't understand why we had mandatory 40-hour vacations. You had to take a full 7 days off, and you did not understand. And you used to fight me on it at first. And then after that first vacation you took, that full 7 days, you were like, now I get it. Because it takes you 7 days to just like get out of it.
Yeah. So, and sometimes a weekend is not enough. So no. My ass can be whooped on Thursday and I'll come back still whooped on Monday. So that right there tells you that you need the 7 days. But yeah, I could not wrap my head around why we had to take our 40 hours all together. Again, I was 18 at the time, so I really wasn't drained. I had all the energy in the world, but it really did. It just rejuvenates you to be fully disconnected from the business, and not just as a team owner, because I've seen the changes in you whenever you take weeks off at a time, you come back a completely different person.
Mm-hmm. And two, a lot of business owners think that when they go do continuing education or business development, they go for a trip like that, which I just got back from one, and it was exhausting, because even though I was unplugged and y'all didn't hear from us, we were working on the business that whole time. Well, then when we got back, we literally took 4 days and was just like, we're doing nothing. Because so you can't go from working a lot, then going to a conference and then going back to working. That causes more burnout, because no matter what people say, when you go to a business conference, that's still the same as you're working in your business. It's no different. Even though you may not be talking to clients or, interacting, you're still working. And so your brain is still in business mode. It is not in, hey, let me binge watch Netflix for a bit.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of like, not unpopular opinion, but people might not agree, but growing your business, the strategy side of it, which is what you're doing at these conferences, that's a part of running your business. Therefore, you are still running your business whenever you're at a conference. I don't care if you're sitting at your office, sitting at your home office, or if you're on a beach at a conference, you're still running your business. You are still doing business stuff.
Yeah. And in the one that I was just recently at in Puerto Rico, he made a comment, and I was like, that is so true, that your personal development is your part of growing your business as well. It is not separate, because as you work on yourself, your business will change with you. So therefore, that is still working on your business, just like Megan said. And he's like, that is your business plan, is to work on yourself and to exercise and to do all the things that we're supposed to be doing. That yesterday in one of our group coachings, they were like, nobody does self-care. It's like, why not? And self-care, I don't mean go get your nails done. I mean like self-care, like journaling or just doing stuff for yourself and nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't do it, that's where this burnout comes in, where you just literally want to burn your business to the ground. And unfortunately, we coach a lot of people that want to burn their business to the ground, whether it be on the bookkeeping or the coaching side, because being a business owner is hard. Being a small business is hard from a team member's perspective too, because most likely they're wearing multiple hats. So they're constantly switching from this to that. That's exhausting. And then when you add public accounting into it, you're changing from one client to another client to another client to another client to another client, plus doing marketing, sales, and all the things. It's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why the accounting industry is so burnt out. And then they have this fear of, I can't step away, which is a limiting belief, because you can step away. You just choose not to, because there's all kinds of evidence that says you can. So Megan, you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I know you've been like really into this limiting belief stuff with me. And I know this was about burnout, but burnout and limiting beliefs do go together.
Yeah. So kind of what Leslie was saying with the limiting beliefs. Let's see, where do I want to take this? So with the limiting beliefs, you have, like she said, stepping away from your business. I'm sure a lot of you say, well, I can't step away from my business because the work won't get done. Or my clients will need me. My clients, I have to be able to reach them. Right. So your evidence against that is their businesses are still going to be running whether you are working or not. Their questions, the things they need will still be here whenever you come back. And if you have a team, let your team own that shit, because they can take care of it. You have a team that you can trust. That's your evidence. You just have to lean on them to trust them.
And if you don't have a team you can trust, that's a whole different problem that we can help you with as well. Because sometimes there is that, or they're in the wrong place. There's all kinds of things. But to Megan's point, you ought to be able, there is evidence. I'm evidence. I've checked out for up to 5 weeks out of this business. So if you have to borrow my evidence, you can borrow mine to be able to check out. And this goes for any business, whether, no matter what you're in, you have to be able to do that. And we have some bookkeeping clients that are struggling with this right now because they need to check out, but they can't, because they never made the business where they could do that. So I urge you to make sure that your business can run without you, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And it may not be you. It may be a family member, a child, a mother, father. It doesn't matter. It's a question of when it's going to happen. And it's going to happen when you don't have time to plan for it. So the time to plan for this is now. And if you're already burnt out, then you have that family emergency or whatever, that's a whole different, that's even worse, because you're burnt out. Then you have to go deal with that. You're not really present. And and then your health starts doing this as well. So there is a limiting belief that business owners cannot step away from their business, but I'm here to tell you, you can. Team members should be able to step away for just the same amount of time. Megan has stepped away for 7 weeks. We have some that have stepped away for 6. So, and Megan's was a month earlier than we expected. So these all are reasons why you have to deal with burnout, and you can't just say, I'll just work out of the problem, which is what I used to say, but I never could work out of the problem. It just kept making it worse and worse. So for those of you that are struggling with burnout and want help with this, reach out. You can DM me, or you can comment help below, and we will be glad to reach out and see where you're at and see if how we can help support you, no matter what industry you're in. Because at the end of the day, we are trying to solve burnout for small businesses, because you started your business for a reason, and your reason wasn't to be burnt out, because you're probably working more hours like I was than when I actually worked a real job. So, and that's where you have to take the time now to get out of it. So if you want help, comment help below, or send me a DM help, because I know a lot of people don't like to own that shit on Facebook. So we're good with that too. So hopefully this was helpful, gave you some tips. Megan, thank you for joining me, and have a great rest of your day.